Hello and welcome to another episode of My Southern Exposure. Today is March 1st, 2021. Welcome to season number 3, episode number 7. Thank you so much for joining us. The first thing I want to say is thank you to the best co-host on the planet, Rajina Ryan Singh, and toss it over to you to see how your day is going.
Oh, thank you. He's such a good pimp. Oh, I love messing with him. Anyway, thank you so much, Joseph. And I want to welcome everyone back. Welcome everyone back to another week of thought-provoking, entertaining, and juicy topics. And we have another surprise this week. We're coming with the surprises. Well, you know, I'm a girl with a big surprise, but we're not going to talk about that this show. Maybe later on down the road. But yes, so I want to welcome everyone back, and we have some good topics for you. I don't know. Let's see. I'm trying to think of something that happened this week. God, I've been doing a lot of outreach for Trans Social. Trans Social is a grassroots organization. I mean, it's like grassroots of all grassroots. They're very hands-on, and I'm so happy to have teamed up with them recently. So I've been doing some outreach for them, and it's trans-led for trans people, by trans people, for trans people. So I posted today about hunger in our community, and I put a nice, beautiful plate of food. Oh my God, my mouth was watering. I was hungry. I want some baked chicken now. But I put a plate of food, and I said, you know, that we don't want to see any of our community members going hungry. So, you know, to reach out to me. So anyone that's watching, if you know a trans person that you might think is in need, you can go ahead and have them email me at outreach@transsocial.org. Outreach@transsocial.org. And Joseph, I'll toss it back to you. You got to explain that tie around your neck. Tie yellow ribbon. Green ribbon.
It's actually, that's what I was just going to say. You know, you tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree.
Yeah, but in this case, it's tie a green ribbon around the Puerto Rican.
That is absolutely true. And actually, we'll jump into the first topic to make it more lighthearted. The reason why I'm wearing the tie is because it's the beginning of March. I think maybe what we can start to do is, like, at the beginning of the month, remind people what the holidays are that are like on like a calendar. So this month, the very first quote unquote thing that pops up is daylight saving time begins. That's March 14th. March 17th is St. Patty's Day. That's part of the reason why I got the little bow on. And then on March 20th, officially, is when spring begins for the rest of the United States, because down here it's always spring, summer. So then at the 28th is the first day of Passover, Palm Sunday, and also a full moon. So those are the holidays in the American world. I need to try to correlate with some of the other parts of the world so we can start to acknowledge some of those. And if you have anything to add, Raji, with any of the other parts of the world that you're aware of, it would be great to acknowledge the holidays, I think, at the beginning of the month, so we can be on our toes and acknowledge everything that's going on for everybody. But you will slowly see me turn into a leprechaun over the next 3 weeks. Hopefully I won't end up looking like that evil leprechaun in the Leprechaun movies.
Mm-hmm.
but it might be kind of funny if I turned myself into the evil leprechaun
Yeah.
with the little top hat.
Hopefully with the pot of gold for me.
With the pot of gold, matey.
Mhm.
So in reference to in reference to this the first story that I wanted to start off with, there's so many stories that I want to bring up this episode. So I want to talk about LGBTQ rights, COVID, CPAC, weather, new stimulus package, and then I'm going to tease one of the most beautiful women in the world who just happens to be one of our viewers. She will be joining the show around 6 o'clock ish. So you will definitely all be very entertained. So
I can't wait to meet her. I can't wait to meet her.
Yeah, I know. She's a handful, just like me. So I'm an acquired taste. That's for sure. But I want to jump right into the first topic, LGBTQ right protection. I think that it was a wonderful thing that was passed with the current administration, that now there is LGBTQ right protection for jobs nationwide as well as housing. So now they can no longer kick you out of a house or not accept you as a renter, and they can no longer not hire you if you are LGBTQ any longer, which I was kind of surprised, Raji, to be honest with you, and I feel a little slow with the fact that I already presumed that was in place. What do you have to say?
Wow. Well, I think it's fabulous, first of all. I think it's absolutely fabulous because for me, I didn't have that for a lot of the years I was working in corporate America. And so I didn't have the protection. And, it kind of starts with law, because when there are consequences for people's actions, then it kind of gets people in line a little bit. Like they, I mean, they may still act out and do bad things, but at least that they know there's consequences to it, it might prevent it a little bit more. And then eventually, hopefully, it trickles down into pop culture and like people just being able to accept it. In regards to transsexuality, I mean, I worked at a job where this one particular job, I didn't have a bathroom to use for hours. I sat at my desk 5 days a week for a few years like that. And if protections were in place back then, that would not have been well, first of all, the company couldn't have done that to me and gotten away with it. And I had to work. I put up with it because I needed a job, and at the time I was kind of like desperate. So I just my mom was like, your bladder is going to explode, because sometimes I would hold it and I'd be holding it and like to the point where my bladder would start hurting, And so, and there were even times, and I mean, this is embarrassing, but I went out in my car and I peed. I did what I had to do because it was a matter of survival. And so I'm speaking, from experience. When there's not protection, people can do all sorts of things and get away with it. And really, come on, isn't it that people just want to work to be able to take care of themselves, have a roof over their head, food to eat, and doesn't matter who you are, what type of human being you are, we're all, entitled to be able to earn a living and survive, and be able to get our basic human rights. So, yeah, it's a very good day in America. Let's see. It's going to take time to trickle down to mentality, because you can have a law, but that doesn't mean that it changes people's mentality. And I think that's happening slowly but surely through the media featuring authentic trans stories, not Jerry Springer stories, but authentic trans stories, myself included, that have been in the media a lot, especially the last probably 10 years. Yeah, 10 years. So what happens is when people see a particular type of person in a story about them, there's a bridge of understanding that takes place, because you can hear about a certain type of person all day, but until there's that human connection, and also what it does too is it kind of normalizes it. Like, in other words, if you're seeing stories about trans people in the media, and I'm out in public and someone sees me, it's not like, oh my God, they saw a leprechaun, or they saw a reindeer, or they saw a unicorn. It's like, oh, okay, there's a trans person. I remember that story, that I heard on the news about that person. So, that's how mentality changes, so that people are not afraid. Because when you're ignorant about something, when something's unknown, oftentimes people are afraid of it. And when people are afraid, what do they want to do? They want to either beat it down, or they want to run from it. So little by little, Joseph, I don't hear you, honey. You need to take yourself off mute.
I apologize. I put myself on mute just in case the dogs were going to bark. Thanks for reminding me. I apologize. I feel like horrified the fact that you had to go out to your car and pee in a cup or something because there were no accommodations for you. And when you were working in corporate America, because there were no LGBTQ rights that should have been in place. I presumed that they were already in place, and finding out that it got done, and then I, talked with Pretty Ricky. Is like, no, they weren't. I'm like, holy crap! I felt really bad that I didn't know that they weren't. There's some things that I'm really smart about, and some things I'm dumber than a box of rocks. So
let me just say this, so people understand. The company didn't want me to use the bathroom with the women because they felt I would be offensive to the women. And then, of course, they didn't want me to use the bathroom with the men. I didn't either, but because my safety, and they knew that they'd be liable for that. So that's why I was in this oxymoron type of situation. And the bathroom that they had me assigned to, it was all the way across the building. The building was as big as like a football field. And it was in human resources, and human resources would close at 4. And my shift would sometimes be from 12 to 8 or 4 to 12. So this is the bathroom you can use, but you can't get in when we're closed. So it was just, it was a very, very difficult situation, but thank God I stuck it out. I proved myself, and I made it through.
Well, that's clearly good. So then it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out with the right protections, what will happen for businesses. And I want to segue from this topic into the next one, because there's a lot of people that seem to be upset with it. The new minimum wage apparently is problematic for people because they want to raise it to $15 an hour. First of all, $15 an hour is not a lot of money. That's the first thing. So if you're working 40 hours a week, I don't know the math on it, after you subtract taxes, you're not getting rich on $15 an hour.
Yeah.
So the part that I have the problem with is that it's okay if the owner of XYZ company brings in $18 million who is paying their employees $8 an hour to flip burgers, which I'm not going to say which name of the company because I don't want to give them any kind of free advertising, but one of the largest corporations in America that employs a lot of people, the CEO makes $18 million a year. So it's okay for that person to make $18 million as basically a slave master. From my perspective, that's how I look at it. And then he or she wants to pay the people who are flipping burgers $8 an hour. So I have no problem with people making $15 an hour. And I think that it's good. I think that it should be more than that. But at least if we start with that $15 an hour, it's a step in the right direction. I'm going to pass the topic back over to you while I fix my lighting because my light's a little bit too low. That's why I look so tan.
Okay. Well, $15 an hour. If you're working a 40-hour week, that's $600 before taxes. Now you figure with the inflation the way it is and things keep going up, everything keeps getting more expensive to, you go to the market. God, if you go to the market with $50, you hardly come out with anything. I mean, it's so like, really, isn't it like a good thing that people would be able to like maybe live a little better and not have to like decide between groceries and a light bill? I mean, come on. And I see it as a good thing. I think this $8, that shit is 1990. All right. That 8 something an hour, that crap is 1990. This is 2021, $15. And actually, it should be 20 an hour, but okay, $15. And you figure after, okay, so that's $600 a week, every 2 weeks, $1,200 before taxes. So let's say after taxes, it's almost like, let's say 1,000 or a little less than 1,000. That's only $2,000 a month. All right. So the average person can probably live on that, but depending on how many kids you have and your living situation, all of that plays into it. So all of these people that are like against it, I just think that they're against equality and equity for people. I really do. I really do. How is someone supposed to freaking pay rent, all right, a car note on $8 a freaking hour? Come on. And plus go get groceries so they can have the energy to go to work? I mean, gas.
No, I completely agree. I mean, and that's the thing where a lot of people have been basically underpaid for such a long period of time. I remember my first job, oh, good Lord, a long time ago. I think I made $3.25 an hour was the minimum wage back then. In like 1987, when I was 16. I was born in 73 plus 16. Yeah, 1989. When I was 16, I was making $3.25 an hour. And then they raised it to $4.25 an hour. Like that, like a year after they raised it. Which I was like, woohoo, making $4.25 an hour. But then, I stayed with that company for 10 years. And at the end, I think it was making $10 an hour or whatever. And that was back in the 90s. And to know that, I think the current federal minimum wage before this changeover was like 8 something an hour. So no one can live off of that unless you have 4 jobs or are doing something questionable on the side to make up the difference. And it's not like anything's been given to anybody for free, except for the whole, what we've gone through for the last year. Like they're kind of giving a lot of free money to people recently, but that's the money that that people should have gotten all this entire time that they were just holding on to with their hands and not giving it. So I think that the federal minimum wage being $15 an hour is good. I can't remember which, I think it's, I will give them a shout out, Costco, because before it was approved for the $15 an hour, Costco already made the decision and said they were going to give $16 an hour for their employees, which is great.
That is
so
great.
I mean, and it wasn't a decided thing by the federal government yet. Costco got ahead of it and then they upped the ante. So I give them lots of props for them to be able to do that. I think it's great. And in addition to that, hopefully other companies will up the ante as well. I think if the federal minimum wage is this, and then the companies that are making money hand over fist are going to make it higher and higher and higher, we might be able to get up to that $20 mark per hour as a livable wage.
Yeah.
Which I think that's what it should be, is $20 an hour. And it's not like you're going to be getting rich and going to Cancun on $20 an hour.
No.
That's not going to be happening. It's not like you're going to have a brand new BMW sitting out in your driveway. I mean, let's get real. So $20 an hour is just something where you're comfortable.
Right. You're not having to choose between your light bill and groceries. It's like, there's some comfortability there. And you're right. It's not going to be like, oh, they'll be able to go do or travel the world and buy a Lexus and all of that. No, that's just, they're going to be able to breathe a little bit and be able to have like their basic needs without a struggle, so much of a struggle.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's great. And I hope and pray that the companies that have all the money will continue to one up each other to make it better and better so that people can have a better thing than the federal mandated minimum wage. Just because the feds say that something is supposed to be here doesn't mean that private companies can't come up to here and be more fair. I didn't plan on bringing up this topic, but it kind of made me think about the Golden Globes yesterday. I didn't see it. I don't know if you did, but I heard that I believe Tina Fey and Amy Poehler were the co-hosts, and they were in two different areas. Everything was virtual, which I think is great personally, including all the people who won the awards as well.
Yeah.
So they brought up, Tina Fey did, in the Tina Fey way that she does, because she's a smart ass in a good way. She said that there has never been any person of color in the media corps for the Golden Globes ever before. And she said, quote unquote, "Did you guys not get the memo? Because it is 2021. That was, it was just a little snippet that I saw this morning, but it reminds me of that, because just because something is this way doesn't mean we can't make it better. I think it's great that the topic got brought up. I like that it was humorous. And I also saw the video of the young man who died suddenly. I can't remember his name. His wife was on, and she basically accepted the honor in his name. So I want to get your perspective on both of those topics, Raji.
So, I mean, she basically called them out on the color thing or the race thing. I think it's good. I think they need to be called out. I mean, come on. It's 2021. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's even, to me, even to hear that is ridiculous. You would have think there would have already been a few people of color or Black people. And as far as Chadwick, oh my God, Chadwick Boseman. Oh, his wife or girlfriend, his partner, she accepted the award, and it was very emotional. Very, very emotional. What I did notice is a lot more people of color got awards. I did notice that a lot of Black folks got awards last night. So I think there's something happening, because, yeah, it was quite a few. And Chadwick Boseman was one of them. And so, yeah, it was very touching. She was very emotional, like, to be expected. I tell you, we're just passing through, and you never know when that time is going to come to an end. And I think that's why we all, like, we're in our lives, living our lives, and sometimes it gets to be like a rut, but like to just kind of tap into like what you feel your gift is, and what you desire to do, and just do it. Like, just do it, because people like wait their whole lives. Oh, well, I'll do it when I turn this age, and oh, I'll do it if I hit the lottery, or oh, I'll do it when I retire, or oh, I'll do it. I mean, you know, someone that's a singer, right? And we have some really good singers at my spiritual center. Okay, they're not superstars, like, in the sense of like global superstars, but they're still doing what they love, getting paid for it, and being appreciated. Like, people are being touched by their voices. So that's what I mean about doing, tapping into what it is you feel your gift is, or what it is you're here to do, your purpose, and just do it. Do it, no matter how great or big it gets. Just do it. The important thing is that you're putting it out there. And I'm a firm believer, like, when when you're doing something and you have the passion behind it, and you really believe in it, it's like a pebble in the pond. You drop it in, and the ripples they go really far. So, yeah. Oh, on that note, you got to take a drink, honey. You're muted. You're muted, mister.
Thank you so much for that. I keep muting it just in case.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for saying that. I didn't plan on talking about this topic either, but I'm waiting for our surprise guest to log in. She's running just a scotch late, she's gonna be looking fabulous when she gets on. That's for sure.
And a scotch.
So I don't know if you heard about it, but I believe you probably have. Lady Gaga's dogs were stolen, and her dog walker was shot in the chest 3 to 4 times. It was a little sketchy if he was going to survive. The dogs were stolen. Apparently, dog nappings, or I guess that's what it is, dog stealing, is prevalent in that area. So what had happened was, Lady Gaga said that she would pay $500,000 for the dogs to be returned, no questions asked. Within less than 24 hours, she got the dogs. My initial response to that on social media platforms across the board was, okay, that's great, Gaga, but what are you going to do about the guy who got shot? Are you going to at least give up $500,000 to him? At least? So apparently, after she got the dogs back, now she paid $75,000 in medical bills, but it's not like this is something that's going to go away instantly. He was shot in his chest 3 to 4 times. This is going to be something that is going to be with him for the rest of his life. The mental trauma, the tragedy of it, the stress of it, who knows what's going to happen to him. So Mrs. Gaga or Miss Gaga or Miss whatever, I would suggest that you make certain and do a public statement that you're going to take care of him for the rest of his life. That's from my perspective. That's what I believe is necessary. And it's not like you don't have the financial means to do it. So if you can pay $500,000 to get your dogs back, you can do a lot better for this person who almost lost his life. And even though he pulled through, it doesn't mean that he might not have complications in the future. So that's my plea to you, Mrs. Gaga or Miss Gaga. Please do the right thing. What do you think about that whole story?
Yeah, I'm shocked that he lived, but you know, it was not his time. I mean, because to be shot in the chest 3 to 4 times, that this is where all our vital organs are, like up here and here, vital organs, and like that's a miracle that he didn't die. So it was obviously not his time. And I had the same thought in regards to the money. I was thinking, oh my God, she's putting all that money out to get those dogs back. I wonder what she's gonna do for the dog walker. And you know what? Honestly, I think he'll be taken care of. I do. I do. I think he'll be taken care of. If not, I bet you we'll hear about it. We'll hear about it. But he was in, I know he had to be in shock. I mean, in shock. Can you imagine you're walking the dogs? The last thing you really think is, oh my God, someone's going to jump out, shoot you in the chest, and take the dogs. I didn't realize that those French bulldogs were so expensive. I didn't know they were that expensive. Wow.
Yeah,
I,
my uncle has one. My uncle has one.
oh,
They're expensive, and my nephew used to have some as well. I guess they're expensive, especially depending on like type of breed or whatnot,
mhm.
and how they look and their temperament. I guess apparently they are extremely expensive. And to be honest with you, they're the cutest little thing in the world.
There.
I mean, seriously, they're just so adorable and they're so friendly and they're oh, it's
They
just
really, they
you
really,
just want to eat, you just want to like chop them up and put them on a plate and eat them just because they're so sweet, they're so cute. Not like eat them in a cannibal way, like give them kisses, eat them up like emotionally. They are definitely absolutely adorable. But what one person had said, and I hadn't thought about it, was that now, because of what she did, what it may possibly do is set up a precedence that if you steal a famous person's pets, that you might get some money like as a payout. So it might turn into like a blackmail kind of thing.
yeah.
So that's the reason why they said that, you know, it's good that she did it and everything else, but now they're more afraid or thinking about the ramifications of it. Like it's basically saying, go steal, you know, a rich person's dogs, and then that way you're going to get a whole bunch of money. What do you think about that part? Because I hadn't thought about that until one of the reporters brought it up.
Yeah, that's the chance you take. I think that's why America doesn't pay money ransom for American hostages when they're taken. That's one of the reasons, because it can get out of hand, and you know then it's like, oh well, if America's going to pay, so it's the same thing. Um, wow. I mean, I'll tell you this. If she didn't pay that money, she probably wouldn't have gotten those dogs back, you know? And I wonder, that lady, I was like thinking, okay, wait a minute. Who is this lady that returned the dogs? Now, I know that's horrible because right away people are going to think, was she in on it or is she connected to the people that did it or whatever? But that thought did cross my mind. Um, yeah, I know I had a cousin. Well, I have a cousin. He's still alive in Trinidad. And in Trinidad, they were doing a lot of kidnappings. Well, it happens from time to time where there's like spurts of kidnappings. and they usually target people that they think, you know, have a lot of money or come from like a family with money. And my cousin, they had different businesses, his father and the family, and so they ended up kidnapping him. And a lot of the people that were kidnapped, they would be murdered if the ransom wasn't paid. And you know, there's questions about the police being um, sketchy over there. And so, long story short, the family paid the ransom, and they returned him safe and sound. So I guess it just depends on the situation. And when it's someone you love or something you love, then you know it's hard to like say, "Oh, I'm not gonna do it," you know.
No, I understand that. I'm talking about some sketchy cops. I am going to just start to tease this story because we're going to have to come back to it, depending on when our surprise special guest pops up in a little box in our corner. So you and I discussed this already. There's actually two different stories. So we can kind of meld both of them together or use one for now and then tease the other for later, because possibly the people that were targets of the other story, fingers crossed, might be on next week's show.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna basically just talk about the first couple. So apparently, just over the weekend, there was a couple from, I think, Canada that went to Mexico. I can't remember the name of the city, but it's all over social media and it hasn't actually gotten to mainstream media yet. So I wanted to shine a little light on it, as well as the other story. What had happened was, I guess that might be my new phrase. What had happened was,
What happened?
what happened was, this couple went to the beach in this certain like area in Mexico, and they weren't like acting crazy or nothing. They were just two gay men at the beach surrounded by a whole bunch of other people and families and straight people and women and men and children and everything else. Everything was perfectly fine. Apparently, the cops pulled up on them on their little scooter thingies in the sand and arrested them because they kissed on the beach. And apparently in Mexico, even though it is recognized in the entire country that same-sex marriage is accepted, depending on which territory, province, I don't know the right words to use.
Yeah, state too. I think they have
States, yeah. Depending on each area and the person who controls that area, they can either be accepted with it or they can be bad cops. So we had two bad cops basically who handcuffed the couple and put them on the little beach thingy, the little beach motor thingy. And what had happened was all the people surrounded it and they all started to say, I'm gay, I'm gay, I'm gay. If you're taking them away, you got to take all of us.
Yeah.
And shut the shit down. They unshackled them and let them go. So what do you think about that? Because I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, first of all, if it's, oh boy, you know, it's a federal. This is the thing about that. It's a federal law that's legalizing gay union and gay marriage. But then, based on what you just told me with that story, the states or the areas can just do what they want, and the hell with the federal law, which is kind of interesting to me because over here it's the other way around. If it's a federal law, it's mandated state through all the states. They have to follow it. If it's a state law, that means that only in that particular state it's legal or not legal, and that sort of thing. Because like with the marijuana thing, like how in Colorado, they well, that's one of the states that have done it, but like Colorado as an example, with the recreational marijuana, and because it was legal in the state but not federal, like they couldn't put any of that money in banks and stuff. So anyway, it that's kind of weird to me, that if the law is federal, like if it's a law that's been passed by the country, why they would allow the individual states to like decide whether they want to follow the law or not. I mean, that's kind of odd. But Mexico is interesting in the sense that when I heard that story, I was like, wow, that's great. The people stood up. But remember when I asked you, I was like, was that couple, were they black, or were they, and you said, well, they looked Hispanic, they weren't black. And I have a friend, I'm not going to name his name, but he is an African-American guy, a very dark-skinned guy. And he had gone to Mexico for vacation and loved it. And then he went back a second time, loved it. So he made this decision that he was going to live in Mexico for a year. He quit his job. He had saved money. He quit his job. He figured he'd work and go and get a job in the tourist area. And he went to Mexico and he found an apartment like on the outskirts of the tourist area. So it was a neighborhood. And honey, they drove him out of there. He said they were so prejudiced, and they were so, even at the, I think the hotel he was staying with, he noticed that there was like some people making comments, and he had gone to, this is before he moved into the apartment, he had gone to the front desk and complained to the manager, and the manager told him, well, if you don't like it, stay in your room. Stay in your room. All right. If you don't like them saying the N-word, stay in your room. They were calling him all kind of like, bad names. And then it was only about a month or so in, maybe a month and a half, 2 months at the most. And he had overheard the people in his neighborhood outside his building talking about murdering him. And that was it. He got the hell out of Dodge. So I was like, wow. Interesting how color, like racism, isn't necessarily white folks against people of color. Sometimes it's one group of people of color against another group of people of color. So anyway, isn't that a human thing? Like, us being able to accept people for differences, no matter what it is. And it just goes on and on and on. And you see it in so many different manifestations. I mean, look what's going on in Myanmar right now, and they're a Buddhist country, and you would think, oh, Buddhism is about inner peace and love and harmony, and honey, it's not happening there right now. So yeah, but to answer your question, I think it's great what those people did, that they stood up for that couple, and I'm sure that couple was pretty scared, when they were being arrested. So, it's interesting too, how like a straight couple can walk down, cisgender straight couple can walk down the street and they can be tonguing each other down. And, people might look and stuff, but like, they don't get like appalled. But let a gay couple do that. Oh my God. How dare they flaunt themselves like that? Oh, it's just a disgrace. And, indecent exposure and public lewd and lascivious public behavior and all of that. So the double standard. Anyway, I'll toss it back to you, honey.
Well, first of all, I agree with everything that you just said. And actually, you bring up a good point. because Pretty Ricky and I were talking about it earlier, how, let's use Hollover Beach, because I'm sure you've been there, we've been there before. There are children that are with their moms and dads completely naked. And when you go to the nude beach, you don't go there because you want to get turned on.
Yeah.
You just go there just to let go. But the
Well-
fact of the matter, well, not let go in that way. Oh my goodness gracious.
No. Some people go there to get turned on, but like in general, they do.
In general, what had happened with us is we were just relaxing. Nothing, there was no movement south of the equator. So just went and enjoyed it, and it was fun. But we both looked at each other when we went, and I was just like, that's like a little kid running around, and his mom's boobs are hanging down to her knees, and his dad's balls are hitting his ankles. Like, seriously, I mean, I'm serious. Like, I'm like, okay, so that's okay. And then you go to like just the regular beach, and then you see the ladies with their string bikinis, and their little itty bitties holding stuff back, and that's okay. So that part that I have the problem with, it kind of ties into a topic we brought up about 6 to 8 months ago, 6 months ago, I think, was that I personally believe that whoever booked that trip for those people, if you booked an LGBTQ and you are the plus A, that you need to do a little research about where you're sending them before you do. Because what would have happened if they did get arrested and got thrown in the slammer or got murdered just because of having a kiss? And from what I understand, the people, everyone chimed in. There was no problem. They weren't doing anything crazy. It's not like they were in the bushes doing the do. You know what I mean? So it's like the part that I'm concerned with is they're, first of all, talking about, bad choices, and sometimes cops make bad decisions. Clearly, there's a lot of bad decisions that cops make on a regular basis, and now they're starting to be held responsible for it. So I think that's wonderful and marvelous. But the thing is that there are a lot of LGBTQ travel agents out there that are basically only concerned, in my opinion, you don't have to agree with it, in my opinion, that all they care about is making that commission off of booking that trip to XYZ. They're making their commission. They're not, if you're in the slammer, you're not going to be calling your travel agent. Like, that's not going to be your first phone call. They're not going to fly down to wherever you are and take you out of the prison and work for you. So my concern is for our community, I think we need to take an extra step forward and start to plan how to protect people better. Because in this situation, it worked out well. But how many other people had that same situation work out that we don't even know about? What do you think about that?
Oh, well, okay. So break it down for me. When you say, what do I think about it? What are you really asking me?
Do you think that the travel agents have any responsibility at all if they're sending people to an area if they know that there's a problem?
Yeah.
For the LGBTQ community?
Yeah. And my answer to that is yes, I do. I think that especially if they know, I mean, if they don't know, they can't help it. But if they know, and I think also, if you're especially an LGBTQ travel agent, I think you're really doing good or excellent customer service if you look into the climate of how it is for LGBTQ people in the particular place that your client is traveling to. I mean, me as a trans person, oh my God, I literally, even in this country, like if I'm going to a certain state, I'm like thinking, okay, how, I wonder how it is there. Like I'm kind of like asking around like the climate of, and so let alone a state going to another country. Oh my God. And with LGBTQ, I mean, here in America, we've come a long way. We have a lot of rights. I mean, there's still a ways to go, but you know, we've seen some advancements and progress. But there's a lot of countries where LGBTQ people are like really suppressed and don't have the freedom to be who they are. And so, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Now maybe this particular travel agent, they just checked and they saw that, oh, it's legal, you know, gay marriage is legal in Mexico, but they didn't read the small print, you know, for lack of a better phrase or whatever. They didn't look into it deeper, you know, to see, to learn that, oh my God, well, it is legal, but depending on which state you're going to in Mexico, it could be a problem. So yeah, but
Yeah, that makes sense.
I
Yeah, that makes it makes perfect sense the way that you said it too, because that's where I'm coming from with my thinking is like I personally think that whatever happened to them probably isn't the first case of that happening. It's just that it got attention.
yeah,
Just like the second case that I'm going to bring up now, where two beautiful young boys who happen to work and do a delivery service for one of the major delivery services pulled up at a restaurant. I won't say the name of it. I will let them say the name of it on their own if they join the show next week. Fingers crossed. Hopefully they do. And what they did was they pulled up to get some food and they were berated by the person who they were picking the food up from. And then also the supervisor came up and the F word was used as well as the Q word. And the whole thing was videotaped. And my question to you is, what do you think about the responsibility of the delivery service company, we won't say the name, and also the company that they picked up the food from? What's the responsibility on either of them? Because technically, when you work for a delivery service company, you're a contract employee. So I don't know if these LGBTQ rights transfer to contract employees like delivery people.
yeah, yeah. Well, let me ask you now, the where they went to pick the food up from, those are the people that were saying the,
Yes.
okay, the slanderous words or whatever. Well, listen, I've been called a lot of things in my life, honey. A lot of things. Oh, freak. The word freak included in that. Um, it's sad that this happened to him. I certainly think that the people that work for that company where they were picking up the food from, they need to, uh, the gay boys or gay guys need to complain. And I would actually write a formal complaint to the higher ups because people, if they're working for a company, shouldn't be allowed to treat anyone that way. And you know, a customer is a customer. I'm like, oh, I'm a faggot. Sorry, I can use the word, y'all, because you know. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm a faggot, but you're taking my faggot money, aren't you? You're taking my faggot money for the service, right? Like you see what I'm saying? It's like, you know, as a customer, you, no matter what you are, if you're patronizing the business and you're spending your money or you're helping to in this case, deliver to somebody that's going to be buying and patronizing the business, or that has done that by ordering the food. Uh, Employees can't just treat anyone that way without any sort of disciplinary action, or something has to be done. So, and I wouldn't complain at the store, because to me, that particular story says that that store, the managers at that store probably allow that behavior, and they probably are in on that behavior. You have to go to corporate for this. And I've done it many times. Let me tell you something. I'm quick to write a letter of commendation for somebody. If I go somewhere and I get good service, I will write a letter and talk about the service and name the person. However, if I go somewhere and I'm totally disrespected, oh, you best believe I'm contacting corporate and I'm going to write a letter of dismay about the service. Because if you don't speak up, the behavior will, it's almost like you have allowed the behavior to happen and you're not doing anything about it. So yeah.
Well, in reference to what you just said, I know I will not be ordering any chicken from the Colonel. Anyway, so let's move on. The next thing.
Okay, listen. I have to say, I go to a Colonel restaurant in my area, and those folks are really sweet with me. So I really think it depends on the location and the climate of the workers and management at that particular location.
Well, the odd thing with this is that a person of color that was a female, along with a white man, are the ones who were spouting these types of words out. So I think that you're actually dead on target with that it's, I believe, a location problem.
Mm-hmm.
So then basically it might be just like the other places that you buy into the main franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And this is maybe an anti-LGBTQ location in order for them to act like that.
Yeah.
So, but with it being a woman of color, that's the part that was like, what?
Don't be surprised.
Are you serious? Like
that should not surprise you at all. I've received so much discrimination from communities of color. It's almost like okay. I did a story with the Herald, the Miami Herald, this past week, and it was an African-American reporter and a African-American photographer that showed up. And they were doing a piece for Black History Month, and they wanted the voice of a transgender woman of color. So they came to interview me and take pictures and everything. And I think after the interview, well, no, I don't think, I know. The reporter called me the next day and he said, I was thinking about a lot of what you said. And he says, it really hit me that you're like the underdog of underdogs. Like, within the community, like the community of color or the Black community, to be specific. Okay, the Black community is already an underdog, for lack of a better phrase, right? And then within that community, if you're trans, you're even lower than that. And it's almost like he was saying that he comes from a family where his family, they're very hateful against LGBTQ people. And so he told me that he wanted to, because of talking to me and hearing what I've been through, he felt that it was important that he start the story with me. I be the lead into the story because he wanted people to think about, you know, someone that's a transgender person of color and what they might go through, and how being ostracized by your own community that's already like, you know, living on the fringes and dealing with discrimination. You would think there'd be understanding, but no, it's like the discriminated being discriminating against someone that's at the considered the bottom of the totem pole within the community. So it doesn't surprise me at all that that woman was someone of color at all. You're like, Joseph is thinking like, what the hell did Rashi just say?
I mean, there's just, when we have our conversations and we talk about things and there's no microphone on and no cameras running or nothing like that, I do it all the time too, where I kind of pause because I'm just kind of absorbing what you say, and you do the same thing with me. And it's just, I don't understand it. I just don't understand.
Well, because you would think that, all right, if someone has gone through discrimination, that they would know better than to do the same thing to someone else. That's what you would think, but it doesn't.
Yes.
It doesn't work that way, and not all the time. Sometimes it does. Hopefully, it does more than not. But because you would think that, okay, listen, I know how it is to be discriminated against. Why would I then go and do it to someone else when I know how hard it is going through something like that? But the reporter said this to me. He says it's almost like the underdog finding someone to make the underdog for them. You know, like, in other words, like, you know, like they're already the underdog, but then they're going to pick a group of people or someone to be lower than them, and they then can discriminate against and be mean to and all of that. So yeah.
Well, that kind of takes us full circle, because you talked about the underdog picking on other people, making them the underdogs, and we just so had happened to have a CPAC convention in Orlando. Talk about the underdog. Talk about the underdog picking on underdogs, even after losing miserably in a one-term election. The conservative, I don't even know, with all the like CPAC men, I don't know what the thing is because they're just so stupid from my perspective. So the underdog picks on underdogs. The part that I want to just touch base on quickly before our surprise guest jumps out of the shower with fresh hair and makeup, apparently, is that I found it quite disturbing with the, I don't know what it's called to use it properly, subliminal messaging using Nazi propaganda. The actual stage that was used for the CPAC convention over the last 2 or 3 days is the exact image that was used on the shoulders of the Nazi soldiers, except that they turned it upside down and they made a stage out of it. And that's what they used for all the people to stand on like a pulpit and talk to everybody. And it actually brings me back to what you had said earlier. In the United States, when there's a mandate, it goes for every state. In that actual convention, if you want to call it that, I think it's more basically just a white supremacist gathering. So in that gathering, that's my personal perspective, and I'm free to voice that opinion, that basically it was a white supremacist meeting. So in that meeting, they said, one of the governors or congressmen from, I think, California said, quote unquote, well, out in California, everything's been shut down for so long. It's just nice to be in a state where I don't have to wear a mask. And everyone cheered. They were so happy, which in this state of Florida, you're supposed to be wearing a mask. In the entire United States, you're supposed to be wearing a mask. Technically, it's only in federal offices and while you're traveling, but anyone who has any brain matter in between their ears knows that it doesn't make it so that you can't get sick, but it decreases the likelihood of you being sick. It doesn't make it so you can't get sick. It just makes it less likely that you will get sick. So I wear my surgical mask, my K95, and then I also have one that goes over it as well. So then instead of it being like 50%, it turns up to 60%. So I only have like a 40% risk from breathing in. And then I have glasses. I don't have them here, but I have the little construction glasses that I wear also as well. And then I wash my hands nonstop. That's part of the reason why my one finger looks like this, from having too much cleaning solution on it. But I'd rather my hands be clean as opposed to me touching something. But what do you think about that whole Conservative Public Action Committee, I think is what it's called? What do you think about them having a meeting with a lot of people that are basically were maskless, first of all, and then also continuing to push through the idea that this 500,000 plus deaths is nothing, like it's normal, like having 500,000 people die in less than a year is like the new normal.
Well, I hope they all get COVID. I mean, that'll teach them a lesson. I mean, if they're gonna go to that kind of event with no mask, knowing what's going on right now, then maybe they need to get COVID. Now, I didn't say die.
No, I agree. I completely agree with you, to be honest with you. So
yeah,
I mean, I think it would definitely be a good lesson if that did happen. And I don't think that it's bad karma to say it at all, because of the way that they basically skirt off the issue like it's not even anything at all.
Right.
So in reference to the subliminal Nazi messaging, what do you think about that?
God. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I was looking at the stage. I was trying to kind of see it. I don't know. I have to look at it again. But everyone's saying it. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people are saying it. And it does. If it's true, it wouldn't surprise me coming from those type of people. It wouldn't surprise me. Now, to me, that was a Trump rally. All of those people are Trump supporters. And I'm surprised he isn't starting his own party. I thought he was, but no, he claims he's going to stay with the Republican Party. But what he is, or what he does is, there's a group of Republicans, like a segment of the Republican Party that's like ultra conservative and like white supremacists, a lot of them. And so, he feeds them. He feeds those type of people. That is what they like. And so, yeah, they came out to see him. I think that, that's what it all was. It was just, oh, let's go see, because I watched the news clips and they were still saying that he's the real president and oh, he really won. And oh God. And then he alluded to running in 4 years. Oh dear Lord. He alluded to running again in 4 years. So we're gonna see how this all plays out. But yeah. Oh, and
I think it's
And,
Huh?
and by the way, I hope we get our stimulus check real soon. $1,400, yay!
Well, that's another topic. I mean, that's another topic, the whole thing, because that's actually a big topic. But I think it's going to be kind of hard to run for office if you are in jail. There are, I think, 5 or 6 cases right now that are against him, and apparently the tax records have been released. So sorry, crybaby Donnie, you got some splaining to do, Donnie, not Lucy. You got some splaining to do. You got some splaining to do. So I don't believe that is even something that's possible at all. But I have concerns about the similarities between Hitler and also this creature, because it was the same thing. Removed from power, laid back for 10 years and came back. The only good thing in this instance is he should be already dead. He's not going to last 10 more years.
Yeah.
I mean,
10 years. But he might be able to come back in 4. But we'll see.
He might be able to come back in 4 if he's wearing an orange jumpsuit and he runs the country from a jail cell.
Well, we'll see.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see. I love the idea that they're taking down the buildings with his name on them. That is the most fun thing in the world. I don't know if they're raffling off tickets to be able to push that button, but I would love to be able to want to push the button and be like,
to take it down. Well, I mean, if the federal government didn't put him in jail, I don't know if the states are going to do it, honestly. I mean, he was impeached twice and he got over on both times. He was not found guilty. So I just don't know if it's going to happen on the state level, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I mean, there's there's a potential of civil action also as well. Like all the people who've passed, all the family members who've passed because of COVID, the people who died because of the insurrection, those people have a right to sue personally.
Yes.
Just like Stormy Daniels has a right to sue because she didn't get paid for that blowjob or whatever she did for him. I mean, let's get serious. I mean, I'm just using that as a joke, but I mean, it's still a person who's doing something bad to another person. I have the right to sue him. You have the right to sue him. Any person in the United States or around the world has a legal right to sue somebody if that person causes them financial damage or death or anything like that, or the survivors have the right to do that. No one can take that right away.
Oh yeah, you could sue whatever you want, whether you win or not. That's a whole nother story. And whether you have the legal means and the money to sue, because a lot of people don't sue because they don't have the resources to sue. They don't have the money to sue. So we'll see.
I think it would be great if we start a GoFundMe. We should maybe start a GoFundMe, and it's the citizens of the United States against Donald J. Trump. The first time I've said his name.
Oh, that would be a good GoFundMe. You might want to start that tomorrow, Joseph. The citizens of the United States. Citizens
of the United States against Donald J. Trump. I think that would be an excellent class action lawsuit. Personally, that's how I feel. So, and there's class action lawsuits for a lot of things, and we know this person has no class, apparently. Like, seriously, you have a wife that's pregnant, and then you move your hooker in the floor beneath you and get her pregnant, and then you have another one on the side. So that's what we call no class. That's no class act. So it would be a no class lawsuit.
Yeah.
Personally, that's the way that I look at it. It's a no class. It's a low class, but gold plated. a gold-plated no-class lawsuit. But let's just touch base on this next topic as we wait for our surprise guest. Apparently, she's in hair and makeup and should be out shortly. So I don't know if you've heard about it yet, but this is kind of a really big deal. Apparently, last night or this morning, a iceberg the size, bigger than the size of of Manhattan, broke off of Antarctica.
Yeah.
Did you hear about it?
I did hear. Yeah.
Tell me what you know.
Well, they said that it's not because of global warming, that this is like it's an event that happens like from time to time. So, but they were talking about the size of it because it was so big. Yeah, so you wonder, they said it wasn't global warming, but you wonder. And what, I mean, like something like that breaking off, I mean, when you think of like the impact and like how the ripple effects from like an action causes a reaction, you know, and that sort of thing. Hopefully, I mean, they didn't seem like it was anything for us to really worry about on the news, but who knows? I mean, do you think otherwise?
Oh, absolutely I do. Absolutely I do. When I heard the size of it, that's the part that caught my attention.
Yeah.
The size of Manhattan. When I don't know if you ever saw that movie. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's called The Wave. And I think it was in the Netherlands or I can't remember where, but it's a really good movie. I think I haven't talked about it. I'll have to pull it up and explain it. But basically, part of this little mountain fell off on one side of like a lake, and it caused a 100-foot wave to completely wipe out an entire city in this little like enclosed area. So, and that was just a very small piece that fell off. So I'm thinking in my head, something the size of Manhattan falling off of Antarctica. I don't know like the mathematics with it, but it's definitely going to have an impact.
Yeah. Well, it did, the way they showed it, like I saw the aerial view, it didn't fall off. It just like separated, like it broke apart, but it didn't like fall off, like it was high and then fell down into the water. No, though at least that's how, from what I saw, it looked like it just broke apart.
It broke off and now it's just basically floating.
Yeah.
But that's still going to be a lot of ice and water.
It is.
And who knows what's inside that ice and water.
I know.
Like that stuff that's been frozen for how long?
I know, it could be dinosaur eggs.
It could, no, but seriously, it could be more viruses.
It could be little dinosaur amoebas, and they'll hatch, and then we'll be back to Jurassic Park days. Oh my God. But yeah, but you're right. It could be all it could be all sorts of things. Oh God.
It could, I mean, I like the fact that we're using humor to talk about it,
Yeah.
but it really caught my attention. It really did catch my attention because I'm thinking, what's in that big gigantic ice cube floating around?
Yeah, I know. That's true.
Like in a little teeny tiny petri dish, if you have a mold test done in a little teeny tiny petri dish, you just set it out and you don't even see what's around you. And this little teeny tiny thing is small. So, and things land in it. If it's, bad stuff, then it grows and everything else. So I'm thinking in my head, what's inside that big gigantic ice cube and what's going to happen when it melts? So we're going to see. We're going to definitely see. In reference to COVID stuff, I want to ask you a couple questions and bring up some harsh reminders about stuff. We've passed over the 500,000 mark since our last show. We were close to 500,000 our last show, last Monday. Now we are over the 500,000 mark. That's the reason why the flags were put at half-mast, not because of Rush Limbaugh. Don't even get me started, because I got a lot of material about that. So basically 500,000 people plus at this point have passed. In Florida, more than 31,000 people have passed because of COVID. So to break the numbers down for our local viewers, 12,000 people live in Wilton Manors. 24,000 people live in Oakland Park. So you're basically talking, because when you use big numbers, it's kind of hard to make it make sense. So what I'd like to do sometimes is give an example. Instead of saying a baseball field full of people, I think it's kind of good just to make it sink in a little bit. So you're basically talking about Oakland Park and also Wilton Manors, basically every single person who lives there dead. The numbers are close to that. So that's a sobering number just for the state of Florida. And even though the numbers are going down with hospitalizations, that's partially due to the fact that people are not getting tested, and also partially due to the fact that people are getting vaccinated. And part of the problem with this vaccination effort is that some people, and I had an interaction with somebody that works at a local handyman store that's a really big company, and I don't want to say the name of it, who did not speak English very well. No bueno el Englisho. Oh, we do have somebody. We do have our beautiful guest who I just admitted, and I'm guessing that she just got out of hair and makeup.
Hello.
Her image will pop up shortly. We can hear you. There we go.
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming on.
You're welcome. I heard so much about you.
And I've heard a lot about you, honey. Some good things.
I'm happy to be here. I want to move down here, and I'm ready for some Miami and Florida.
You're going to be moving soon?
I don't want to go back to New York. There's way many beautiful people like you guys.
Oh, you're sweet. You're sweet.
Can you see?
Well, let me put you on hold for a second so I can introduce to everybody so they know who this beautiful vixen is. This
Sure,
is
Lala.
this is one of our viewers who I actually know personally, and I met about 6 years ago. And she is visiting here, but moving down here, and apparently also moving through the room as well. So that's very nice when she settles down into
the hallway. She forgot the leash. Here he is, and there we go. As he's running down the hallway corridors of the hotel.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah, you know, New York style.
Okay,
We've
so
both seen triple.
I have to ask you a question, Lisa. In order for you to qualify to be part of our contest, I'm going to ask you a question and you have to answer it correctly. And I'm going to give you an easy question the first time. So,
okay.
In what city and state did we meet?
Staten Island, New York.
Yay!
There you go.
I know. Oh, look at that bow in your hair. You look adorable. Is that for St. Patrick's Day coming up?
Yes, it is. By St. Patrick's Day, I'm going to look like the evil leprechaun. That's my plan.
You look adorable.
So, Raji, do you have a question, Raji, for this beautiful little vixen?
Well, why don't you tell us about yourself? Like, what do you do? I'd love to hear more about you.
Well, I mean, I used to be a buyer at Bloomingdale's. I was always in the fashion industry. I had a boutique for women in Staten Island, and actually, my business partner brought it to Miami. At one time, he was at the Ritz-Carlton in Miami. Um, After I was done with the fashion industry, got married, became a housewife for 8 years. That was interesting. I took a little hiatus. Um, and then after that, after I got divorced after 10 years, I said it's time to get back out there. So I started doing publicity and events, and I did a lot of events in entertainment, fashion shows, movie premieres, art showings. And
Wow.
right now, I'm ready to move down here. After COVID, New York totally changed the economy, somewhat collapsed over there. And everyone is moving to the beautiful sunshine state of Florida. I mean, when I say everyone, all my father's Wall Street people, all the stockbrokers, the stock market, they said is going to be Dallas, Florida. It's where all the money is to be made. So I came down here to meet some friends, and one's a professional fighter. One's been in the Italian food business in New York, Mulberry Street. So we're going to do a performance gym for fighters. And because one of his fighters just became European middleweight champ of the world.
Wow.
And yeah, and then he owns Cafe Napoli on Mulberry Street in Hester with his family for 50 years. So we're going to take the concept down here, do a little focacceria with a speakeasy Frank Sinatra feel, because there's a lot of Italians from New York moving down here. And we figure we might as well add a little more of our Italian heritage down here, because we have a lot of Italians from our neighborhood moving down.
Wow.
And
And
I'm a mother. My daughter's 13, and I just got a little dog named Prince Teddy, who we all love. He became the mascot of South Beach.
I think that's fabulous. So, and that's so good because what you're doing is you're bringing something that's not really here. So it's probably going to end up being real popular. And so
Yeah.
that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the people we know moved to Delray, Fort Lauderdale, Boca, Palm Beach, and Miami. And, I mean, there's Italian places down here, but, we want to bring the real old school, authentic Mulberry Street style. And we want to do a speakeasy bar, something that's a little different. They have a few, but not many.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
some Italian specialty cocktails. Yeah.
Yes. I know what you're saying. Yeah, of course there's Italian places, but like you're gonna bring like the authenticity, like
Yes.
you're gonna kind of bring the old neighborhood down here.
Old school Italian,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
That's right. I love that necklace you're wearing, and I have the same one. How funny is that? I love that. You got the same style as me, that's for sure. Great minds.
I got a
Right?
question. I got a question for you, Lisa.
Yes.
Why do you like watching our show?
Well, first of all, you're probably the most authentic people I know. You tell it like it is. You are amazing people. You definitely have a good eye for what's going on in the world. And you're not afraid to say how you feel. A lot of people hold back. They don't want to, they don't want to get people upset. They don't know what to do. In this day and age, a lot of people get nervous what to do and say. Politics, religion, sports, the whole world's changing. You guys don't care. You're going to say how you feel, and that's it. And I like that. I like real people that cut to the chase, get to the point. And you know what? All your topics are amazing. I mean, you really when I saw you doing the episode on ACS and school and children and all that, I mean, out of nowhere, I said, let me just clip onto one of his episodes. That day, that exact episode is something that happened to me. And I couldn't believe it. I said, I think somebody wanted me to watch that day. And whenever you were explaining, you helped me so much in what I had to deal with that day, that if it wasn't for your advice, I probably wouldn't have got as far as I did. So thank you.
That's great. That's good.
It's
So,
true.
and I call it's like kismet that you.
Here she is, my daughter, Princess Tessa.
It's
Ready.
it's kismet or serendipitous that you would click on that show that would resonate with what was going on. Hi, honey.
Hey, hi, Prince Teddy. Prince Teddy is in the house.
Oh my God, look, we got 3 honeys on right
Yeah,
now.
we are. But I mean, I couldn't believe it. Exactly. It was like synchronicity. Exactly what I was needed help with and advice with. I click on, and there was my answer. So
Yeah,
there you go. I feel like everything happens for a reason.
exactly.
Everything, I think everything definitely does, and that you watched that show and you happen to click on it, I think is really great. And by the way, your daughter is absolutely beautiful and gorgeous, just like you.
I mean,
And Prince Teddy is adorable.
Mascot of the pool. All the honeys were trying to get him on the leash. He's getting a little hungry. I think Prince Teddy's ready for his dinner.
How old is he and what type of dog?
He's 5 months and he's a Cavapoo. Cavalier King Charles mix.
Oh, so cute. So adorable. Makes me want to get a dog. Oh, wait. Are we having technical? Okay.
Now, what is a Cavapoo? I've never heard of that.
Cavalier King Charles / Poodle. Cavalier King Charles is very sweet lap dogs. Poodle, he gets a little snooty once in a while. You know, he seems sweet on the side that what his father was, and then he gets his snooty poodle attitude from his mother. And I'll give him something to eat, and he puts up his nose and snubs it, and he walks away.
Oh yeah, I had a poodle. They're so funny. They can be really, really emotional.
Right now, he's being very emotional, Teddy.
You guys watching my video that I made with him?
Oh no, I don't know if you want to see that. She was shaking the dog up.
Oh my God.
A little video shaking the dog in the air like this right after he ate lunch.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then he got a little sick after that. She shook him up, and then Prince Teddy took a nap, a nice nap.
Yeah, she gave him his exercise for the day, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. She absolutely did.
I think she definitely helped make the food process a little quicker.
Yeah, he did, that's for sure.
Oh my God.
Well,
I would love when you open up your club to come by one day and visit. I would
love to have you. Everything's on us. We love you guys. You know how I feel about you, your friends are my friends. So there we go. They're like family.
Thank you so much.
The second I met them, it was instant friendship, and we remained friends for years.
The connection was there.
Each other all the time. The second we talk, it goes back.
Yeah, that connection.
Yep.
Yeah,
true. Really, when you meet,
you never know who you're going to meet on an elevator.
You never know who you're going to meet in an elevator. That's the suitcase. Yes. We traded TVs, you know. A lot of interesting things happen when you come to Staten Island, or we call it Staten Italy. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Jesus, Lisa. So I know you're going to be leaving soon, right?
I'll be here till Thursday, then I'll be back on the 11th for a week, and I'll probably be here every week until she lets out of school, and then either I'll be down here full time or I'll be down here a few weeks out of a month. But I'm getting a condo, you know, so, you know, we're going to take it by a grain of salt. She has her first boyfriend named Andres, so she doesn't want to leave Andreas, you know, first love. She's going into high school, so it's going back and forth. Can I live down here full time, or is this going to be a few weeks here and there out of a month because first love?
I know.
You know.
You never forget them. You never forget the first love.
Oh, and you know what? My first love moved down here years ago when I was her age, and he's still here. We might be meeting up with him tomorrow.
Ooh!
I know. I know.
Talk about, you know, it's funny how that is, how the journey of life, and then it brings you back together.
Full circle. Everything comes full circle. That's for sure.
Do you have a question for Raji and I to discuss?
Well, I was just wondering, like, for you guys, I mean, how do you, right now, as far as Florida goes, do you feel like there's a lot of people coming here from all parts of the world? And New York, is it becoming overly populated? Are you afraid with COVID? Like, how do you feel about everything down here now?
Raji, do you want to go first? Because I have a response.
I was curious.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think that a lot of people Well, the weather has a lot to do with it too. You know, it's winter time in most of the country. So a lot of people are coming here like it's always been, like this is the winter getaway.
Right.
But I also think when people get to the tropics, their guards go down because it's so beautiful. The sun is shining, the palm trees. And so, honey, COVID goes right out the window. They take the mask off and they're ready to go to the party. Yeah, yeah.
What about you? How do you feel? I agree because I mean, I haven't seen so many people that I know in New York at one time. My phone hasn't stopped ringing since I came down here.
Oh my gosh.
Well, the reason why your phone hasn't stopped ringing is that you are the woman of desire, clearly. So
I on social media plugged that I was here, and I can't believe how many friends are down here. It's like nobody wants to go back. We were supposed to leave today, then we switch it to Tuesday, then we switch it to Wednesday, then we switch it to Thursday. No one wants to leave your beautiful state. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
I can understand it. In reference to your question, I personally do think there's a lot of people, like a lot of people all at once. That's the way that
you seem like you're extra about the COVID. You know, very, very careful.
He is.
Yes.
He is. I'm kind of middle of the road, but he is really.
I'm middle of the road too, and I'm laughing when he's telling me, "Oh no, I'll see you. I'll give you a hug from a distance." I said, "You sound like my mother right now," and he's like, "No, really." But then you know what? You can't be too careful, right? I guess it's better to be safe, right?
Yeah, safe than sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing, though, Lisa. Especially with our friendship, is that I can be honest with you, just like you can be with me, and just like Raji. So it's one of those. It's one of those things where.
However you feel, I respect you. You respect me, and that's just how it goes.
It's one of those things where next week, the 11th, you said you leave on the 11th, or you come back on the 11th?
After the 11th for like another week, and then I leave this Thursday.
So then hopefully by the 11th, we can meet up and we can go sit in the jacuzzi, safely distanced, and have a cocktail.
Just like old days.
And swim in a nice 90-degree temperature pool, because you know I like my pool temperature 90 degrees.
And Raji, I hope you come with us.
Oh, thank you. I'll put on my bikini, honey. But I don't know if
I'm ready.
If I do that, they might call the police. So
no way. Are you kidding me? You attract all the hotties.
You know, I gotta tell you.
That sexy mama.
Thank you. You know, I gotta tell you, you have me right now. You're talking about all that Italian stuff. You have me craving a stromboli, hon.
You know what? My daughter's father owns a ravioli chain store. It's called Pastosa Ravioli. They make stromboli. They make everything. So the next time we come down, we're going to bring you some stromboli and whatever you want. We'll actually ship it to you.
That sounds good.
Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it.
Hey, remember, what's the matter, you? Hey.
That's right.
Why are you looking so sad?
Yeah, you know it. See, Raji?
Oh, shut up in your face.
That's right. See? That's right.
I grew up in Philly. It's a big
Philly is a lot of Italians. My uncle lives in South Philly and owns Italian food stores out there.
Yeah.
Chip, Uncle Chip.
Honey, yeah, work it, girl. Work it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the name of this store? My daughter said, "Get me that camera." You are. Toledo's it's called. South Philly. Yeah.
Menudos?
Toledo's in South Philly it was called. Yep. We're going to bring all the Italian food down here, the real authentic food, with the Italian cocktails and everything is on us for you and your friends, that's for sure. And your viewers too.
You've been to Philly, so which one is it, Gino's or Pat's?
It was called Toludo's. It was like an Italian gourmet store.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for doing the show with
Oh,
us.
thank you for having us. It was a pleasure. Say goodbye, Prince Teddy. Uh-oh, he's hungry. Oh, there he goes. He's ready for a little stromboli himself.
Wait, what?
You know, he eats pizza. He likes his pizza. He loves mozzarella. And he's ready for a filet mignon.
When is your birthday? When is your birthday?
Lila is a Sagittarius, December 2nd.
Oh, December 2nd?
I'm
Pisces.
5th. I'm December 5th.
Oh,
I'm December 5th.
Oh, you same. What are you, Raja? You two are the same.
I'm Aries. I'm April 7th.
Aries, one of my first loves. That's for sure. I love my Aries. I'm a Pisces cusp.
Oh, yeah. I think my moon is in Pisces. So it kind of balances me. Yeah.
I love Aries. Good people and Sagittarius. Well, I have to love Sagittarius. That's my daughter.
Well, but Sag and Aries and Leo, we're fire. We're the fire signs. Yeah.
Oh, that's for sure. Fire, right?
Better wait
Fire.
till-
Fire.
Fire. Well, Miss Lila's hungry and Teddy's ready to eat my hands off. And I think it's time for dinner. But we're so happy to talk to you and we can't wait to see you next. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. And
Well,
you, I'll see you
next
come back.
time.
Okay.
I'll see you next
We
time. Thank you,
will.
Lisa. Thank you, Lisa.
Bye.
Thank you, Munchkin.
Bye. Thank you.
I told you you'd love her.
She got me dancing. Yeah.
She is such a sweet person. Oh my Lord. And her daughter is absolutely adorable.
Yeah.
And that the show that one of the shows that she watched that we did was just at the right time. That means so much to me that what she saw is exactly what she needed at just the right time. I cannot believe it's already 7:17. It's time for us to go to sleep. But this show, I think, was one of our best. I say that every time. If are you doing the Carol Burnett thing? Are you doing the Carol Burnett thing at the end of the show? If anybody wants to work for us, you can email us at work@mysouthernexposure.site. If you want to get a hold of me, Joseph@mysouthernexposure.site. And then Raji, I will leave it up to you to give your email address. And I want to say thank you to everybody at home who is watching, and make certain to go to our direct website, mysouthernexposure.site. Like, subscribe, share, spread some of the information around. I am 14 states into a brand new advertising campaign. So no matter which state you live in, you're going to be seeing these two mugs quite a bit from this point forward. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to pass it over to Raji.
Well, to get in contact with me, it's Raji at mysouthernexposure.site. And I want to thank everyone for watching. And I just want to wish everyone a fabulous week. Be good to yourself. And on that note, I say love, happiness, peace, good health, prosperity, and many wonderful blessings. Bye. Namaste. Namaste.
I have to hit the button that says stop. I always forget how to do it.
Oh my God.
I always do.